Morning, everyone. Hopefully, we've got the sound right today. Okay, we're going to kick it off here. All right, U.S. Session on Friday ended up being kind of a bit of a non-event. You can see there's very little movement. No picture. Oh, I'm not to say about that. Very little movement either way during the day. We did have a good non-farm payroll number, which kind of set the stage for a bit of a correction in the gold price. And then, but yeah, it was a little bit of a non-event considering. Jumping into the overnight action, which I think is really what is most important. Well, let me just take a step back. On Friday, what we did start to see was we started to see a bit of a collapse in the copper price on Friday. It was down about 2.5% throughout most of the day. It finished the day down over 4% this morning. You're seeing major follow through there again, down about 2% early on. I think that's obviously was the continuation of that sell-off. Came on the back of came on the back of China that came out with weaker than expected export numbers. In fact, they're totally shocking. I'll show you those now. But I believe the expectation was for growth of closer to 10%, came in at minus 18%. Now that was obviously dramatically affected negatively by the Chinese Lunar New Year, but I don't think there's any way that it could make up that kind of a miss. And bottom line is, people are really worried about China anyway. Now you're really starting to see the full brunt of that being bared. The interesting thing was, is that copper was only down about 3.5%. I think by the time London closed on Friday, but managed to take Anglo down 6.5% on Friday on the back of that. Glencore also got hit hard. Rio, Billitons, and you see the follow through out in Oz this morning on the back of those on the back of the sell-off there. So this is really important. And we're continuing to see the same sort of thing on the back of the iron ore prices. That's also continuing to come down a little bit. The contract price down about 12% over the last month and a half. All right, we had also had Japanese GDP, which was a bit soft this morning as well. So just to add a little fuel to the fire on the negative sentiment side out in Asia this morning. All right. Now, if we look at, we had some trading statements that were out this morning. We had Sasol, we had ABI. Sasol, now, to clarify, we're working off of full year numbers that we have, so these could be a little bit distorted. But bottom line, I think a relatively strong numbers out of Sasol. The only one that doesn't quite look like it's that great is the revenue number. The divvy per share number looks very solid. Earnings number looks solid as well. ABI also coming out beating guidance slightly from the trading statement, and obviously the the prior numbers from Bloomberg consensus, and beating on the divvy per share expected at 1 rand, came in at 1 rand 20. So today we've got a huge day. Stocks going ex div. First one being BTI. I mean, that's coming in at £1 8 I mean, so that's close to 20 rand. We've got Kumba, which is just under 20 rand at 19.94. We got Sibanye at 75 cents. We've got Trueworths at 2 rand 16, and we got Life Healthcare at 1 rand. So keep that in mind, guys. Write those down. Don't get caught in that this morning. Things are going to obviously open down with futures down around 300 points, but this is these stocks may be underpriced a little bit because of the divvy and us opening down. All right, we had China trade balance numbers over the weekend, like we said. The real shocker was the exports number. You can see there, survey expectations were for 7.5% growth. We had contraction of 18.1%. It was just a miss across the board, really. And PPI numbers also coming in a little bit light. They did come out this morning, and or they have lowered the peg against the dollar a little bit as of this morning, and we've seen that number continue to move in. That's really been signaling, I think, some of this weakness that's been coming in China. We've seen the we've seen the Chinese yuan weakening by the most since I think about 2008 over the past month. So that's, I think, really important, and that's been a real telltale signal of what's going to happen, or what was going to happen, and you're starting to see now. Let's pop back down. Just get back up here. All right. So later in this today, we've got French industrial production as well as manufacturing production, and then we've got industrial production out of Italy and Spain. So very little on the cards as of today. I do believe that this day is a bit of a light data week after last week being quite data heavy. We've got the JSE out with earnings tomorrow. We've got current account balance here on Wednesday. We've got retail sales and industrial production in China on Thursday, and then we got a lot of stocks that are last day to trade, if I'm not mistaken, on Friday. So the actual X on Friday. Okay, sorry, X on Friday. So we've got a very light week of data. So this week, boys, trade action is king. I don't think anybody's going to be waiting around for any sort of wait and see what the data is going to be like kind of maneuvers like we may have been in the past. All right, let's jump into the maps real quick. First thing we're going to look at is the copper price, and you can see there actually breaking down out of a head and shoulder pattern. Really, I mean, it's not the most beautiful head and shoulder pattern, maybe a little bit weak on the left shoulder there, but we'll attempt to kind of draw that for you. That actually could kind of say that that's the head and shoulder there as well. Either way, it's looking like a head and shoulder pattern, which we've drawn the neckline, which I think is undisputable down here, and we've dropped it majorly. I mean, the target on this drop would take us down probably to around the 280 level, if I'm not mistaken. I call it 285, which give us a hell of a long way left to fall. And if we just to gauge this, I think it's really important. We're going back into look at a 5-year chart here on copper, and you can see that we really Three is the lowest level that we've really been at, going all the way back into 2010. That's the very beginning of 2010. I mean, we have not dropped $3 on the copper price since 2010. So this is really important. I mean, we're flirting with it already. This morning we're down at 303. This thing's got to fall 1% to take us down to test $3. So just keep that in mind. Remember how hard these mining stocks have run. Considering how big of impact copper and iron ore is to their earnings, this could have a dramatic effect, and we could see a hell of a reversal here, at least maybe in the near term on the back of this. All right, next one we're going to look at, we're going to stick with the commodity theme here. We're going to get into the precious metal side on gold. I'm just going to look at this again. The 1350 level. Incredibly significant, continues to build its significance. We once again failed on Friday. We were trading right up under 1350. Non-farm payroll number came out. We sold off. We did rally toward the end of the session in the States, and up to about the 1340 this morning. You can see us kind of failing off again. I mean, I think if this thing doesn't get through 1350 imminently, I think it's probably going to fail along with the rest of the commodity sector that looks quite offered at the moment. I think even though copper is not a precious metal, it can probably start to weigh a little bit on the basket here a little bit. All right, let's look at Kumba. Kumba, I know we've shown this chart a gazillion times. I think it's important because we got 20 Rand divvy coming out this morning, but I think what's most important is that we dropped on a closing basis quite convincingly the 425. I know we had dropped it already, but we got above it and gained it the next day. And then here we are really dropping it hard on Friday session. We got a big divvy coming, but like we said, I think that could have been the trap. I think there's going to be a lot of guys that were looking to collect that 20 Rand divvy that's been in it for the last 2 weeks are already $40 out the money. That just got the divvy this morning. I think if further pressure on the stock, these guys are going to be way past the stop loss already. They've probably lost 10% or close to 10% in the share over the past couple weeks. Be very careful of this one. If we drop 400, I think it could really accelerate to the downside in Kumba today. All right, next one we're going to look at is Anglos in London. We'll look at it here and we'll look at it in London, but the London's first. You can see here that we really dropped this recent little this push up, and we'd kind of made a bit of a flag pattern and then started to push up again in Anglos, and then on Friday down 6.5%. Just a total blowout. I mean, we haven't seen this thing move 6.5%. It seems like 3 years. I can't remember the last time it's had a move like that. And we definitely dropped real support there. I would be looking for a test, maybe at least down to the 200-day, if not further down. The reason why I'm showing that, obviously, we're going to drop out this level this morning because we closed before London did. London continued its descent on Friday. So we're going to look for our session. We're going to look for where support is in our market here. Support is somewhere around 256.50, 257, which is where we broke out from. I really think it's probably going to cut through that very quickly and easily this morning. But that's significant. That's something to pay attention to. We get below 257, you can hold below 257, then this thing can continue to fall and can fall for a ways. So keep your eye on that one this morning. I think this is going to be the sector to really focus on this morning. The stocks like Kumba, the stocks like Exxaro, the stocks like Accor, Exxaro as well, failing on the shoulder on Friday. You can see it got way up above it, and then really failed it. To me, that's a monster fail. It fails the 200-day, it fails the shoulder, and then in coming into a day like today, I think this thing will see some more downside. Same thing with stocks like Exxaro, ARIs. I can see significant downside potentially somewhere there today. So keep those in mind. And the last one we're going to look at is Aspen, which today's not the best day to look at this, simply because we're under so much pressure on the open. But remember, I think it's going to be focused to specific sectors. You can see here 280 points. 280 Rand. We broke up nicely from that finally on Friday. I still like this thing above 280. This is a beautiful breakout. I think the target is probably about $40 to the upside, which puts us at 320 in Aspen sometime in the near future. And that's it for today, guys. Thanks a lot.